We are live. We are on season one, episode two of TnE's podcast. Tong is going to go through his very extensive, more recent selection of phones. Right, Tong, take it away.
All right, yeah, I'm a huge technology collector, so I have a few recent-ish phones right here. So, like I said, actually, my oldest phone is let me get this in the camera right here. This is the iPhone SE from 2016. It has a 4-inch display, right? Which is, I don't think you can find any phone with a 4-inch display nowadays. And this actually uses the same form factor as the iPhone 5S and 5, which was originally released in 2012. So that's this is an ancient form factor. You see back in 2012,
There
you
we
don't
go.
see
Well,
anymore.
what I'm going to do is actually pull them up for you right
Yep,
next to each other. So we got the original SE and we got the
yep,
2020. So walk us
yep.
through the differences.
All right. Well, actually, the new iPhone SE is using the old iPhone 6 form factor, which was released back in 2014, right? So this one actually has a bigger display. So if you scroll down, that one actually has a 4.7 display, I think,
Let's
4.7
check it
inch.
out. The
Yeah. So
original
four
is a
inches.
4, yeah.
Yeah, this is 4 inches, 4.7 inches. So that one's actually bigger. This one's still smaller, and that one has all the new stuff, the True Tone, wide color gamut. It's got a obviously better camera.
All the latest
Yep,
stuff. It's
the
got
latest
a
processor. Yeah, so that one is actually it's a good one for people to start off with right now, but I'm not going to change just yet because I feel like this phone is actually still useful for a lot of people, and the camera's still decent on it, even though it's from like 4 or 5 year old phone. And I like the Touch ID as well, and the headphone jack. Don't forget about the headphone jack, right? I don't think they
that's a
have that
big
on
one,
I
right?
don't
No,
think they
I'm
have that.
pretty sure they got it. Let's look down here. Let's look and see if they have any.
Look, 3.5 millimeter jack, no. See that the
That's right.
sound?
There we go. Wait, you're seeing it faster than I am. Oh, there we go. Right?
Yeah.
Not there, not there.
All right, so yeah, that's the iPhone SE from 2016. That's actually my oldest phone. I still keep around. I use this in Korea. And then I have my next phone, which is, oh, you're gonna like this one, Ethan, the Sony Xperia XC1 Compact,
Wait, I
which
think
this,
I had this one. I had this
yeah.
one recently.
So back in Korea, we both used to have the Z3 Compact, right?
Yeah.
And that was a pretty good phone. And obviously that one was from 2014, so I wanted to upgrade it. The X Compact, which you've had as well, that one didn't have the water resistance, which I really liked. So this one brings back the IP68 water resistance of the Z3 Compact. And obviously this is actually still the last compact phone to have the headphone jack because they removed it on the XC2 Compact, which I don't like, right? So that's why I got the XP1 Compact. I think it has 4.6-inch display, which is pretty small by
Let's
today's
look at that.
standards.
There we go. You're right. 4.6 and a 720 and a pure
Yep.
HD resolution.
Yep. So that's low resolution, but it's good for the battery life. So this phone can
Very good.
easily get like 2-day battery life, right? Which is pretty good.
How about
Uh,
Sony's? They have some really nice proprietary battery extension tech, I
yep.
think, in their software.
Yeah. So it's like that's one of the things I didn't like about the Pixel actually is because it ran out of battery very fast for me. I'd be on battery saver, but the
Hmm.
Sony has the battery saver as well, right?
Looks
So
like you
this,
didn't
this
charge that one for a while.
I'm not using that one. That's
Guilty.
why. But it's actually pretty impressive that it's still even showing because I didn't use this for like weeks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, this has like a proprietary. I mean, this has a battery saver mode on as
What do
well,
they
which I
call
think
it? It's just like Sony's. Yeah, they have a tech. They have it's like in the quick action or the quick settings at the top, and you can
if you use that, I think you can see like 3 days or something like
like
that. It's
days.
something crazy.
I'm pretty sure. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's like they got some crazy battery extension tech that makes it go way longer. Yeah.
Yep. And upgrade to USB-C, of course, because the old
Oh
one,
yeah.
Z3,
See, that's
the
I had
micro.
this one. I really liked it. Was a little bit brickish. It was a little bit chunky. It's definitely got a thicker form factor than like a lot of other um like more modern Sony, especially the Xperia One or even our XZ3. Didn't we have the XZ3? Or which one was
We
that a while ago?
we had the Z3. Yep.
The
So
Z3. Let's look that up.
there's a few other things I like about this one. Fingerprint sensor on the side here, which I think is pretty convenient.
Yes.
Stereo front-facing speakers. That's actually better than a lot of phones now, which have the mono down-firing. I'm looking at you, Samsung. So this one is actually better as a front-facing, and I like that it has a micro SD card slot, expandable storage.
Yes. So do
right?
most of the Sony still have that? Let's
It
look
still
at
does, I
the
think.
look at the Xperia One because that's a super late model. Here's the Xperia One 2 is coming out soon, but the Xperia One, I want to see if they had the SD slot. Uh, Expansion memory. I can't even find it. Blep blep blep. Where is it?
I think it might be towards the bottom. Um,
Good God, how hard is it to find?
it's usually called something like removable storage or something like that.
USB. Oh geez. Modules. No, no. Oh, here it is. Cards. Card
Like, yeah,
slot.
yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so actually, wow, look at that.
So
They all have it. Oh
yeah,
wait, no.
Sony.
Only the Xperia One with the dual um wait, what the dual one has it dedicated, right? And then the shared slim one shared SIM is if you only have a single SIM slot, right? Probably.
I'm pretty sure every Sony has removable storage. That's been one of their like key features they kept for a long time.
But it looks like they might be getting away from that with the Xperia One. With the dual SIM is only
Hmm.
one. I'm not sure about the details of that, but yeah, you're
I,
right. They've always had the SD slot for a long time.
yeah, it's one of the things I like about them.
I mean, that's like what you like to harp on also is like you always enjoy that it's a very media focused phone for media consumption, great for audio, great for video, and they've continued with that trend with the Xperia One with a fantastic OLED screen.
Yeah.
Um, that's what they're great at, for sure.
Yeah, they're really great for media consumption because the speakers are in good location and they have a great like DAC like in the headphone jack, so it's really good for music as well. I think they bring it back in the one two, and yeah, the old 21.9 OLED display, right? I also like that they even kept the camera shutter button. So like most phones don't have this camera shutter button, but like Sony has kept it in pretty much all their phones as well. So like they kept a lot of these old like useful features, which I think is good.
That's super useful. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can move on to I have this old standby here. We'll talk about this phone. This is a cool phone, the Essential phone.
The
So
essential phone.
yeah. So
Definitely.
so this one is so unique. This was the first phone with kind of this bezel-less design. The first one. Fingerprint sensor on the back, and has this removable like accessory attachment, which is an innovative feature. I feel like
That was
they didn't
super
really.
innovative. And what
Yeah.
were the attachments? Remind me, because I don't remember.
So they had a 360-degree camera attachment. That's what they started out with. Then they later had a headphone. Like it doesn't have a headphone jack, right? They have a later like special headphone jack that lets you play like high-res audio files. So that's
Mm.
pretty cool. This yeah, it's just the design. I love the design of the Essential phone. Just the materials, right? It's still like no other phone feels like
It's ceramic,
substantial.
right? It's ceramic. That's why it's so solid, and it's
It's
so
it's ceramic and titanium. No other phone uses that combination.
wow. Wow. Let's see if
Yep.
it even mentions titanium on the.
Titanium frame. Look at that build.
That's
Yep.
fantastic. That's fantastic. And you know what? Windows is now dimming me to night sight. Now I've got to go in and turn off the night sight. Let me pause for a commercial break here for a second. Okay, turned off. All right, so yes, titanium frame and ceramic back. That is amazing. I mean, when you feel it, because I've had this one, I had it for a brief time from
Hmm.
Amazon. It feels so solid, unlike any other phone I've had. It feels kind of brickish, but it's very satisfying brick feeling. It's like it's a nice weighty feeling in your hand.
Yeah, there's no like for example, I compare this to my Pixel 2, right? Next phone I'll talk about. This one feels like it feels like plastic, right? It's I mean, it's a great phone, right? Feels but
I
it
think the
feels like
back is
almost
plastic. The back is probably plastic, right? I don't remember actually, but
they used to have
it's
glass, but on
glass.
the
It's
2 I
glass
think
on
it's like
top.
plastic. But yeah,
Mm.
it's almost like it's too light. It's like also like the Essential phone, it feels like you're carrying something expensive, right?
That's right.
So love that
It
feeling.
definitely adds like value, or it adds perceived value and perceived um, cost to it. I mean, when someone holds the two in comparison, they're gonna say, "Wow, this feels like the Ferrari, right? Compared to the Civic, kind of,
Put it up
as
right
far
here.
as weight." That's
So
awesome.
the
So you still got some juice in there.
So a great thing about like Essential was a small company, but and then they're out of business, but they still support it. Like they even
That's right. So
updated
what
to this
what's
day.
the latest version? Do you have 10 on there? Because it shows DSM
Yeah.
Arena says you can go up to version 10.
Dude, I got upgraded to the latest security patch, right? Of Android
I
10.
like your background there. It's very catchy there. It might be a
Yeah.
Korean singer or something, right? Named
But dude, look at
IU,
this
probably.
design. I still love this design, right? It's such a beautiful like design. They did it right like the first time. The
And they
first
had
phase of
that.
this
They
phone.
had the tear. They were probably one of the first phones using that teardrop camera on the front, right?
Even to this day, the iPhone 11, wherever they still have that notch, the ugly notch, right? This one they did it right the first time with that teardrop, right? It's not unobtrusive.
It was super ahead of its time for
Yeah.
minimizing the camera bump in the front. Super ahead.
Yeah.
So Android 10. Anything else on that? It doesn't have a card slot, unfortunately. What else did you
No.
like about it? How's the
Um,
camera or video quality?
so the camera didn't, it wasn't very good when it came out, but it got a lot better through software improvements. And that's one of the things I like about Essential, the company, is that they supported a lot, like even though they're not a big company. I mean, they supported this phone more than Samsung supports the Galaxy. And Samsung's a huge company,
For a
right?
longer period of time, right? Which is
Yeah, for longer.
fantastic.
Samsung gives you like 2 years support. This phone's like 4 years later, still getting
Geez, so
updates.
you're right. It's 3 years now. 2017 May is when
Yeah,
it
2 years.
announced. That's
And
fantastic.
they're out of business. Like that's crazy, right?
They're gone. Ruben, who knows what Ruben is doing now? That's another side note, but we looked up and tried to find out what he's working on. They tried to push out a very slim, funky factor phone. That's gone. They
Mhm.
actually just completely closed down. They had like probably a prototype. They decided not to. They disappeared. They decided to shut down for whatever reason. That's too bad because Essential, I think, had a lot of fantastic, innovative ideas that were not anywhere else on the market.
They were really ahead of their time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually it says right here, Essential is dead on February 13th is when it actually was RIP. So
Mm.
not that long ago. It was like literally a couple months ago they went down, but that's too bad.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I love the unique colors on this as well. It's just like one of a kind ocean depths color. It's like kind of like turquoise or whatever, but it's pretty cool.
Nice, very
Um,
nice color options.
all right, and I actually want to talk about you're familiar with this phone, the Pixel 2.
Oh
You got the
yes, the
XL
Pixel
version, right?
2, the Pixel
You want to talk
2.
about your experience with the Pixel 2
Oh,
XL?
that bring I when you said to me Pixel 2, like immediately felt like a twinge, like someone was poking me in the wrong area. Um, let's see, Pixel 2. Let's go to the Pixel 2, and we're
So
gonna
this is
do.
not, yep, this is not the XL version. I just got the original, which is actually I think better because it didn't have a lot of the defects that the XL version had, right?
You are
I,
exactly correct. What was the main defect that I hated so much about the Pixel 2
why
XL?
don't we look at the display, shall we?
Oh God, man. You know what? I don't have the 2XL right now for that particular reason because the display was made by LG. And at that time, at that period of time, LG's quality control, or Google actually, we'll chalk it up to Google's fault, um, was horrific. And the quality was just so much, it was not just quality control, it was just the quality of the display, the engineering of the display at that time was so far behind that yeah, I mean, did you use the 2XL? You were only always on the 2, right? Which has the
Yeah,
great
I
screen.
didn't like the big size XL. I was always on the two. Yeah.
You like the smaller phone, so you went straight for the 2 and you saved yourself so much hassle and your phone still works great, right? Great camera. What can you tell us about what do you like about the 2?
So I still use the two, and it's pretty interesting because though one of the reasons is the native Project Fi support, which I use a lot.
Mm.
So and then it's obviously better on the Pixel than on the iPhone. So that's one reason I use it. I also like just the fact that it's a good size. The camera's still pretty good, even 3 years later. I mean, the Pixels always have good cameras, right? Camera's pretty decent. The thing like I don't like is the battery life. You know, like Pixels are never really good. So I always
Mm.
have to put on battery saver if I use it. Don't no headphone jack, no micro SD, you know.
Mm.
So that's some of the downsides. But I still use it because overall it's a very snappy phone still, even though it's a Snapdragon, what is it, 825 or whatever. Uh
It's A35.
835.
Yeah.
835, it's still doable. It's still fairly snappy, right?
Still pretty
So
fast, right? And probably you haven't reset it for a while. Thing about Android phones is they basically need to be reset. I would say most phones need to be reset, any computers, whatever, after X period of time. Have you reset it recently, or is it just basically bone from stock? It's been like this since you
I'm
got it.
not.
You haven't reset. You have not reset it. So that says a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, if that's it's still super fast, super usable right now. That's cool.
Yeah, so with my Samsung and my Xperia, I need to reset it, but not for my Pixel. It's still pretty snappy.
Aha. Well, the software has always been something Google has done the best, for sure. The hardware is
Mhm.
always taken, second, fallen behind in some various aspects, as we could go into minute detail at later points. But definitely software is their strong point.
Yeah, for sure. And then especially the camera, like Pixel cameras are like up par, like one of the best Android cameras, right? So
Definitely, and their software processing.
yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely a big fan. Also, I use the 3XL. I have the 3XL and the 4XL. My 4XL is fallen apart right now due to some subpar repair quality, which I went into in another video. But still, the software is fantastic, and that's still why it's my primary phone as well.
Even the
Anything else?
Pixel One had a good camera, I think. That
That's
was
right.
even the one,
The
yeah.
Pixel One was the beginning of their, I would say, obsession with the camera and really highlighting that as the main focus for their phone because everyone else was doing the bigger resolutions at the time. Everyone else was focusing on the getting bigger and the some people getting to AMOLED and stuff. But the cameras were so far behind. Samsung's was not bad, but most everyone else's at that time, HTC or and Sony who has unfortunately never really gotten good at the software processing, post processing. But everyone else was behind. Pixel pushed that ahead so much.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Anything else
I
for the
also
Pixel 2, or do you want to move on to?
um I guess just compared to Pixel One, it added water resistance. That's another one I think that's actually pretty useful. So that's just good upgrade from the Pixel One, I think.
Have you ever gone to a bathhouse in Korea called a Jimderbang and taken your Pixel with you?
Yeah, I mean it's very useful in those kind of situations, right? And that's why I like my Xperia with the water resistance.
That's right. What is the Xperia? Does it have higher IP rating, or does the Pixel also have a
It does. So like
decent?
the Xperia is actually one of the first phones to have the IP resistance, right? So this is like way before Apple did it with the iPhone 7. So like the IP67 is the Pixel 2, but the Xperia has IP68, which is one level above.
Let's look at. Let's
And
just pull it up here, just because the Xperia. Which one? The XT3 or which one is it?
XE1, looks like XE1
XC1, XC1
with the compact.
compact. That's
Yeah.
amazing because this is an older phone. Well, actually, okay, I can't say that. It's the same generation. They were
Yeah.
ahead at the same time, though. Look, you get an IP68, just like you said,
IP68. Yeah.
1.5 meter instead of 1 meter for 30 minutes.
Hmm.
It's more sustainable to use in wet conditions, definitely. Cool.
Yeah. And Sony was one of the first to have that IP rating way before Apple did it. Right. All right. Yeah, so that's it for the Pixel 2.
All
The next
right.
phone I want to talk about is actually this is the Samsung Galaxy S8 Active. So this
Aha.
is a pretty interesting one, and you might be wondering like, why I have this phone. Well, it's probably the biggest phone I have actually, 5.8 inch, yeah, 5.8 inch, Super AMOLED
Mm.
display. I got it because it was so at the time I lost my I think it was in Korea or something, and I lost my phone because I got drunk at a club or whatever.
What?
So I
Oh
didn't
man,
I
that's
didn't
never happened before, right? I mean, what? Huh?
yeah, I lost in a taxi, so I had to
When
get a
when was
replacement.
that? What year was that this fortunate event happened?
This was 2018. Too much party in Busan at the time.
Aha,
So,
Busan partying. Okay.
lost my phone in a taxi, and then I got a replacement. This was pretty cheap. This was I got it for 170 bucks at the time. Now it's
Where'd
only
you get it? Did
120.
you get it from Yongsan Electronics Market or somewhere in Busan or?
No, I just got it on eBay. They
Oh,
shipped
you
it
bought
right
it.
to Korea.
Okay, okay. Oh, they shipped it directly to Korea.
Yep, yep. It's Samsung,
Wait,
right?
that's 170 dollars for a super high res phone.
This
That
was a
seems
good
pretty good.
deal. There's
That's
refurbished, right? But still a good deal, right? It was
why is the Active cheaper than the S8, for example, or is it cheaper?
I think it's sometimes cheaper and sometimes yeah. I think and it's actually better. It originally actually cost more, and the reason is because it's more rugged, right? It's like military standard A10G like tested. It's IP68, right? So it's actually more durable. It has like a built-in case. This is not a case. This is actually part of the phone. So it's actually built in, and it's basically you can do anything, right? You can like drop it. You can like snowboard
So
with
it's
it,
much
whatever.
sturdier, much sturdier. I mean, it's active. You notice the obvious name in there, right? So it can withstand a lot more. Again,
Yeah.
it looks actually like they have the same IP rating. But I see what you're saying. By it looks like the body is much more beefed up. Basically, it's got a stronger plastic.
So
Um,
the military 810G compliant thing is like shock resistant, like, and it's got like dust resistant, I think, something like that.
oh,
They
look at
do
this.
some,
You're right. Look at this.
yeah.
810G compliant. Wow.
Yep. So it can withstand a lot. But yeah, mainly got it because it's just a really cheap for a really good value phone. Like the specs were top notch for the time. Well, actually, it was just 1 year old. Yeah, it was just 1 year old, and I got it for 170. So like,
No,
that's
that's
really
still a good
good.
deal. I mean, and look at this. It even has HDR10. This is
Yep.
a 3-year-old phone. I didn't even know they had HDR10 back then on phones.
And
Interesting.
yep. And it has a headphone jack. It has micro SD card slot. It has USB charging.
The
It has the
faithfuls.
fingerprint sensor. It's got a super AMOLED display. Like, it had everything for the price. It was really good, right?
That seems like fully loaded for the price. 170 is unbeatable.
And the camera was also pretty good too because it's a Samsung, right? So
Samsung's done really well at the software. I would say a tight second. I don't know. I haven't seen like the OnePlus 8 Pros in person, but um, this post processing that Samsung does, I would say it puts it directly behind the Pixels. Like, do you know of any better pictures on the Android side?
no, I think Pixel and Samsung are probably the top two. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they've kept it pretty tight there.
Well,
All
actually,
right,
Huawei has been doing pretty good as well. But yeah, that's probably
I've
those.
heard, I've heard.
Yeah.
Anything else on the
No,
S8
that's I
Active?
mean, this is not my favorite phone. I'm not like Samsung all that much, but it is the best value one I got.
Let's talk
I got it
about
for
something that irks me a lot on the Samsung phones is the fat layer on top. It is the what did
TouchWiz.
they call it? The TouchWiz, the
Yeah.
touch they slap on top of there that is this thick. And whenever I've had the S8 and I've had the S8 sorry S8 Plus and I've had the S10 Plus, which are still great hardware. But what I've had to do software wise, I completely gut the launcher. I rip that. I don't. Well, I can't rip it out, but I basically swap it out and I use the Nova launcher and I customize the hell out of that. I change the icons. I make it as stock pixel as possible because I really like Android, like Google's stock pixel design. But it takes so much effort. That's the point. Is it takes so much effort and so much time. You can get it pretty close to stock, like
Yeah.
stock pixel-ish, Google-ish, but it takes so much time. What do you think about TouchWiz? Does it bother you or not?
I mean, that's part of the reason this is why this is not my favorite phone and why I don't like Samsung all
All
that
right, we're
much,
on the
right?
same page there.
Um,
Splash some water on TouchWiz.
I mean, that's the strength of Google and Sony, right? Google and Sony do not modify their operating system that much, so like you can get the stock Android basically.
Yeah, stock Android definitely has its is definitely best.
Cool. Um, that's it for Samsung. I have a phone that might not be on your list actually. So this
Hmm.
this phone is called the Yotaphone.
The Yotaphone. I
And
think
you
I
might be
might have
wondering
heard.
why.
Doesn't I think it has the I forget what it. Oh, Yotaphone 2.
I have the Yotaphone 3. So
The Yota 3.
yeah, this is not a well-known phone. So this is probably one of my more obscure phones. Oh, you do
Oh,
have
look at
it.
this.
Cool.
Oh.
You do have it.
Oh,
Nice.
look at that. Yota 3.
So yeah, again,
I
same
think
year,
I can't guess.
2017. 5.5-inch screen AMOLED. What's special about this phone is you see the back here? This is not like any kind of cover. This is actually a display. This is an e-ink display on the back.
I saw
So
this one. It looked really fascinating because you can actually read books on here without it blinding your
yeah.
eyes.
Yep. So this is basically a phone for if you're reading a lot of ebooks. So like this is just a regular display, right? And then if you want to read your ebooks, you put your Kindles on the back here, right? And then it's just a lot more convenient because you're not blinding your eyes, right? So
Do you use that for reading?
no, this is for my collection. I don't use this phone, but it's
Right.
cool. This is for my collection,
That's
right?
what I kind of assumed, but I just wanted to know if
But
you
still, it's
could.
a unique feature, right, that no other phone has.
So,
So
could you use it as a Kindle? Or what store can you connect it to? Can you put the Amazon Kindle app on that side to show Kindle books? Or how
It's
does
the
it work?
same. It's the same. Like it's acts as a second display, so it's the same like operating system, or whatever. You just move it to the other side.
Oh, got it. Is it on right now? Can you show it?
It is not
Or is it
charged right
dead?
now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Put in another
but
battery.
uh, but basically any app you can run on this side, you can run on this side. It's just going to be an e-ink,
Nice.
right? But you probably only want to use it for ebooks because the response time of e-ink is really bad.
Right, right,
So
right. But it's really good for that, and for not blinding your eyes with the blue light. Cool. What else do you like about it? Anything special other than the dual, very unique dual display there? E-ink.
that is the main unique feature of this phone. Otherwise, this is just like a standard smartphone. I guess that doesn't. Yeah, I mean nothing else. That's basically a unique feature of that.
Cool.
And I also have a phone that's also pretty unique. All right, so search up this phone is the HP Elite X3.
I've
Heard of
never
this
heard
one?
of that. Oh,
Never
there
heard of
he
it?
is. Of course,
So
GSM Arena has it.
this runs Windows 10. It's a full-blown
Ah,
Windows 10, and you can actually connect it to a dock and connect it to a monitor, and it'll turn into a desktop Windows 10. So
wow.
this is way ahead of its time. This phone is way ahead of its time.
Wait, this doesn't. How much can you actually do if you jack that into your monitor? What is it powerful enough to run Microsoft Word or what? What can it do? Run the
So
browsers.
So the cool thing is, actually no, this doesn't. It's not an x86 processor. It's a ARM processor, right? So it can only run ARM apps, but it's about like the Microsoft Surface. They did some was it Windows 10 version for ARM? So basically, be
Hmm.
like that. Like you dock it, and it'll turn into a desktop version of the ARM Windows, right? So
Can you
this is
run
a
like Chrome or anything on it basically, or is it just like Edge browser only? What
you
browser
can
would you run?
you can download. So the apps are a little bit limited because it's the ARM, but they still have apps for it, right, from the Windows Store. So you can get whatever apps you have on the Windows Store. I think you can
Okay,
run it.
got it. Which is probably not Chrome because they're not so they don't get along so well.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty big display size. It's yeah,
It
almost
is
six
it is
inches.
huge. It's what is it? 5.8, I believe. 5.96, almost 6 inches for the. This is a 2016, mind you. This is 4 years old,
Yeah, this is actually one
and
of
it
my older
has.
phones. But look, the interface, this is the Metro Windows 8 style interface, right? But it actually works pretty well, right? You got Skype on here, Microsoft Store, Internet Explorer, or not Internet Explorer, Edge, right? So yeah, Facebook. You have most of the apps here. You have Microsoft Word and
And the resolution is
PowerPoint.
pretty decent. It's a 25, it's a 1440p,
Hmm.
straight 1440p, almost 500 ppi. Pretty nice.
Yep. So what's special with this phone is I would say it's the last best Windows phone that came out. So the
Mm,
Windows phone doesn't exist anymore,
right,
right? This
gone.
was this was basically the last best one that came out, and like they did pretty much everything right with it, but they, because of the lack of apps and stuff, they couldn't survive. But it was also ahead of its time because there's a feature called Continuum. So you can click Continuum, you connect it to a dock, and then you connect it to a monitor, and it's a PC, like it's a desktop
Oh, so
PC.
that's what it's called, is Continuum. What kind of dock do you need? It's like obviously a HP specific or.
Yeah, HP actually sells this with it comes bundled together. So this is pretty
Nice.
cool phone that I think it's basically a collector's thing now, but
This is
like
pretty
is it
kick-ass for its time, for definitely.
it's definitely ahead of its time, yeah, for sure. A lot of people didn't give Windows Phone a chance. It's actually pretty decent. So, I think the interface
Yeah,
is really smooth.
it's super smooth. It definitely doesn't look super smooth because that's because of the video, but I'll take your word for it. I
Yeah.
I believe that the animations are smooth. But it looks like it was definitely one of the best because I've seen one or two other Windows phones. This definitely looks like the um, best possible version of a Windows phone. Nice.
Yeah, people didn't give it a chance.
It's even got
Um,
Bang and Olufsen. Is it Bang or
hmm
Bang? Bang
Bang& and
or
Olufsen. Yeah.
Bang and Olufsen speakers. It's got stereo speakers. Wow, stereo speakers in 2016.
Headphone jack. Yep.
Headphone jack, Bluetooth 4. It's got pretty much. It's not USB 3 type.
It has micro SD as well. Yep.
That's impressive, and it's got a huge battery. Look at this, 4150 milliamp. 4150.
That's why I'm still able to boot it up. I haven't used this in
How
weeks.
much? How much did you get this for? I'm curious because it says about 700 euros was the price. that back in 2016?
So I bought this in 2017, just 1 year later for $200.
Okay, so it definitely does not hold its value. We don't recommend using it. Look at this guy. It does say one guy left a comment, April
Yeah,
14th, 2020, still use. Minor
yeah.
minor English
I
there,
mean,
but
if you're
still using it.
okay with the apps and stuff, it's still a good phone. Yep.
Clearly, people are still using it. Nice. All right.
All right. So next phone I have. This one is the BlackBerry Key 2. Search for it.
Key 2. Here we go.
Yep, this came out 2018. Yeah. So this phone is a BlackBerry. I mean, it has a physical keyboard. Not
Oh,
many
I
phones
think
have a
this is the
physical keyboard.
BlackBerry that you had after the one that we had at the same time. Because we had one of the BlackBerries together. The Priv. The Priv was a very funky,
No, this is
like,
so there's two, right? So the Priv was that was a good form factor, but it there was a lot of like bugs with it, right?
yeah.
And the battery life wasn't very good. I like the form factor though. But they came out with the Key 1, which is what I got in 2017, right? I had that for a little bit, and this is the Key 2. This is a successor, and it's pretty much improved on the Key 1 in every way. So the keyboard's a lot better now. This is a fingerprint sensor on the spacebar, and you can use this to scroll.
Wow.
So if you go through a web page, you can use the keyboard to scroll, and you can scroll the
That's
keyboard
very
too.
innovative. So it has enough area on the spacebar to act as
Yep.
a fingerprint sensor. That's crazy.
So you can scroll using this. It's pretty cool. So
Oh, that's very innovative.
good thing about this is you don't have fingerprints on the screen because you're scrolling on the keyboard, right?
You can scroll anywhere on the keyboard or just a certain area.
No, you can scroll anywhere on the keyboard, up and down.
Oh, that's amazing. So it's got, oh, how is it doing that? It's like some kind of sensory
Yeah, some kind of capacitive thing, and you can do it in
capacitive touch.
landscape mode as
Oh,
well,
wow,
right?
that's very innovative.
You'll detect it, yeah.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I think the mo main reason people get this phone is because of the physical keyboard, because the specs are not as good as Samsung or Pixel or Xperia even.
Hmm.
So there's nothing special about the camera or the specs. It's just mainly people, you want to have physical keyboard experience because this the
It's a very unique, the only phone that has this like this basically.
yeah, there's no phones made anymore with, with physical keyboards.
That's right.
So
So this is the last 2018 was the dying breath of physical keyboards. So that's the phone to get if you want a physical keyboard for sure. Well, anything else about this the
apparently it's
Key
still being
2?
updated. Look, install update. It's still being updated.
Jeez, what's the latest version of it? Let's look on here. Oh, it says 8.1, but you're probably getting security updates and stuff, or what's it picking up?
I think it's security updates, but I'm still getting them as of
Do you have
today. So
9? What version? What version is that on? Because right here it says 8.1 on the GSM Arena.
I think this is upgraded to 9. Yeah, let me check. I'm actually upgrading it, so I think it's
Okay, well,
I think it's 9. Yeah,
nice, nice.
yeah.
Nice. So that's super unique form factor with a keyboard. I know you like the physical keyboards, and they've done away with those, unfortunately. So that's a good one to have in your collection.
Yep. It also has the micro SD and it has the headphone jack, so it has all those old style features as well. It's good.
Nice. All right. Shall
All right,
we do
so
a couple more, or are we almost at
I
the
have
end of this?
my last
The
phone. Okay,
final. All right.
the
Munch 'em up.
final, the iPhone 11 Pro.
Okay, we are fully pushed forward to the future now. The
This is the current
current
phone I
gen.
use right now.
Current gen.
Um,
All right.
so there's things I like, things I don't like about this phone. So the things I like, actually, I like the material. It's I'm not gonna say I like the essential, but it's pretty like substantial feeling, I would say. Um, I also like so the main reason I got this phone is the camera system. So it's got triple cameras. One is standard wide angle, one is ultra wide, one is telephoto. And these are some of the best cameras on the market right now. So I think the iPhone 11 Pro is like one of the top 3 phones I think for cameras, right? So it's yeah, mainly for the
Definitely
camera.
has a great camera system. I like the ultra wide here. You mentioned that because ironically the Pixel 3 XL, which I have right here, the Pixel 3
Mhm.
XL has a great front facing wide angle selfie camera, but they dumped that completely in the Pixel 4 XL and Pixel 4. I don't know why, but the ultra
That's
wide was
weird.
super nice, especially for a selfie. Um, I noticed
Yeah,
here that it's
that's
on
weird.
the this is on the back of the
Hmm.
iPhones. Does it have an ultra wide on the front also, or?
So the thing it does on the front is I think if you like do it landscape, it'll actually like you see that see it changes. So
Hmm.
it actually goes up a little bit. So it does this it's not like ultra wide, but it kind of detects when you're doing a landscape selfie and it goes a
Nice.
little bit farther back, right? So that's pretty cool. It detects that.
Cool.
And then yeah, obviously this is you can do telephoto and you can do ultra wide. The ultra wide is look at that, right? See?
Ultra
Standard.
wide is super useful, and
Real
see this is
really
a
good.
big comparison point. Let's talk about that because Google went with, they forcibly pushed users to they tried to get people to like the telephoto versus the ultra wide. I
Hmm.
really believe in the ultra wide is the more useful. Telephoto, who's really zooming in? It sounds like pervy, right? I want to zoom in on something and
I
super
think
far
very
away.
few people would use the telephoto. Like it's not very useful. The ultra wide's like way more because think about it. Like how many times have you thought about I really want to see this tiny detail up all the way up in the distance versus how many times have you think about I want to get everyone in the shot or everything in the
That's
shot here,
right.
right?
That's right. Right. You want to get multiple people in the shot. You want to get more in the scene. You're going to
Yeah.
use, ultra. You're not going to use telephone. I mean, you're not zooming in super far. I mean, Google likes to show off their super amazing hardware, like they're interpolating the zoom somehow, where they're doing some super crazy processing, and they do that stuff really well. But ultra wide is just more useful. I totally agree.
Yeah, so I think the Pixel 4, that's one of the reasons I didn't get it, right? The Pixel
Ah.
4 had an ultra wide, I would get it over the iPhone 11 Pro,
See,
but
that
it
was the
didn't,
biggest
right?
that was the biggest differentiation. I mean, outside of the OS, let's just strip all of that away. If you're talking pure hardware, it's ultra
Yeah,
wide versus telephoto, and ultra wide is way more useful.
yeah, for sure. So that's why like I came back to the iOS. I don't especially like I probably do more Android, but it's mainly because of the three lenses. That's why I go
So
back to
how
the
how was it? Because you've been on Pixel 2 for a while, and you've been on the Sony. Um, was it a big? Because for me, it's well, this is a whole another topic we could go into another time. But it's like the jailed experience versus the I can open a file app and I can access any file I want from any file, from any app. What's
yes.
your feeling on that?
So there's ups and downs. I feel like so the thing I that's why I told you like there's things I like about the iPhone and things I don't like about the iPhone. I already said I don't like Face ID, right? Very much. Like Touch ID better.
Hmm.
But it is very fast. Like because the operating system is very optimized. This is a 120 hertz refresh rate, I think.
Hmm.
It's very fast and smooth. Apps open without problem. The App Store is very tailored. But like you said, there's no you can't do as much as you can on the Android because it's not like unlocked for you or anything. File transfer is a bitch. And this is always the problem with the iPhone, right? It's like whenever you transfer files to computer or Android, you just hook it up to your computer, you transfer it over. And then not iPhone, you gotta, you go through the stupid iTunes bullshit. Like that's like I hate that, right?
There we go.
So
But for you,
yeah,
the camera still outweighs this pain in the ass of dealing with the transfer, right?
I would say
Basically, is that right? Or
there's one thing that's keeping me like okay, that would actually be a deal breaker, but AirDrop. Okay, AirDrop is the thing that saves me. So because I have a
huh.
MacBook, right? So I use AirDrop to get my photos from the iPhone to the computer. And that's actually pretty good. It's pretty convenient, right? If I
Hmm.
didn't have AirDrop, I think this would be kind of a deal breaker to transfer files, right? It's so annoying.
So that's
But
interesting. That's like a
yeah,
workflow, right? Because I'm on the Android, everything's Google Photoed, everything's up in the cloud. I can rip it down and just, then do whatever I want with it. So is it you're fine. Your AirDrop is easy. It's good for you. Works for you.
yeah, it's very fast. Like I can transfer like 1, 2 gig, 3 gig files in like seconds. It's
Okay,
very
nice. So
fast.
it's especially useful for like video files because Google Photos will take a little bit longer, of course, to upload it, and then it's going to process it, and then you have to download it. So I can definitely
Yeah,
see like from a creator's perspective, if you want to shoot something and fling it onto your computer for editing or whatever, way more efficient.
Yeah, like, but I think if you have a Windows like PC and you don't have a Mac, like it's a bitch to transfer stuff on the iPhone. Yeah,
That goes into a whole, right, the other
yeah.
whole other topic of locked into an ecosystem, and when you're in the ecosystem, it works great. When you're not, you're screwed.
Yeah, that's like Apple pushing you. You got to buy our Macs, so you get AirDrop and you can like easily edit your files, iMovie. That's their complete plan, right? They got to get you into that ecosystem.
That's part of the world domination. Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, HDR10, Dolby Vision, True Tone, 120 hertz, all those are good
Yeah, I mean,
specs.
it must look
OLED.
great, right? I mean, you open Netflix or pictures or whatever on there, it must look fantastic.
Yeah, specs are great. Yeah.
All right,
Another,
nice. Well, what else? Anything else about the iPhones or anything else
um,
you want to
I mean,
add
just the
before we
usual
wrap
stuff I
up?
don't like about the iPhone is well, no expandable storage. They've never had that.
No.
Headphone jack, obviously, like they removed that. They're never coming back with it.
What
Um,
version? What version did they rip that away on the iPhone? Was it six gone or
it was
something? Like
7.
seven.
Yeah, that's 3 years ago.
Okay.
That's not coming back, I think. The notch, like that's still. I wish they had. I actually maybe just prefer like yeah, either the teardrop thing from the Essential does, or like even just like a smaller bezel would be like more preferable, like the
I did hear
Samsung.
rumors that they were going to shrink that little chunky front bezel where all the sensors and cameras
But
on
this
there
is
in the
their
12.
their flagship phone right now,
Right.
and this is here on
And
their
to think that
2020 flagship
almost
phone.
every Android phone, the S20, the uh, the OnePlus 8 Pro, almost every flagship now has shrunken that down to a pinhole. Most of them, except for the Pixel 4. Pixel 4 is now they actually went back to just flat out the
Dude,
top.
2017, 2020.
There you go. That's the
Come
best.
on.
You
2017, 2020. Are you
you can't get any better than that comparison. You got a 3 year older phone that was already using like innovating on that teardrop design for the camera, and Apple is
I mean, still,
definitely
like
doesn't look that great.
the essential design is better. You gotta admit, right?
That's
Still
right.
3 years later.
I mean, you don't have an AMOLED, which is only always my killing point on the Essential.
Yep.
It's probably why I got rid of it. I don't like
But if
the.
they put OLED on the essential, you would go for it, right?
It would be better, definitely.
Cool.
Well,
All
nice.
right.
I think we should probably wrap up there, and we have gone through a very extensive season one, episode two of Tong's phone collection. We shall catch you next time in the tech world or whatever
You
our
don't want to go
topic
through
will
your
be.
phone collection?
I think we've like gone for a
Or you
while
just have
in
pixels,
this
right?
episode. Yeah, right now I honestly I could totally talk about my pixels, but um, sure, why not? I'll just briefly go through mine. I mean, right now I basically have the 3XL,
Hmm?
which is it's blur. I'm gonna undo this blur. Actually, you can see it. You can see it in the lower, so that's fine. 3XL is great. What I didn't like though about it is you have a very large. Let me just try to show something that doesn't display any of my personal decrepit information. Um, what I didn't like though is that it has this fat.
Can you put
It's
in the
actually
center of the camera?
it's
Can't
actually
see it.
wider. Yeah, there we go. You see that?
Uh, no, I can't see in your video actually. You
Oh
put it
no,
maybe.
it's showing in the in the OBS like recording,
Oh,
but
okay,
it's not going to
okay,
show here. They're showing it to you, but it's
okay, cool.
blurring it. I got to turn off because if I turn off my blurring, then it's going to show my
Well, it's okay if it's showing the live stream thing. So
yeah
yeah.
yeah. So anyways, it's got a kind of a thicker head on it basically. This chunk at the top, which takes away detracts from the screen a bit. But other than that, the 3XL has been fantastic. It did have I did actually RMA it with the speaker issue in the beginning because it had some really like almost vibration feeling to the speaker and it was not clear like when you turn it up a bit. So I thought it was a hardware defect. So I swapped it out. But the display has been fantastic. There are no issues. After the Pixel 2 series, I think they got really drilled into their head that We are not going to go with subpar AMOLED screens on our flagship displays. Yeah, they got the idea.
Yeah, yeah, fix that fast.
So they fixed that fast. And other than that, it's the typical, Pixel experience, super fast. I can customize everything on the screen. I've always liked Androids. I can completely customize the front. I've got, multiple widgets there. I got the Google Calendar. I got the, Google Keep on there. That's pretty much my standard layout for that. Um, so yeah, that's how I like to run it. This came back from a search. Oh, somehow Google is activated there. All right, Google's listening. All right, that's the 3XL, and it's of course the last thing to mention. It's got the fingerprint sensor on the back, and it's got the very minor camera bump, which were both great. Other than that, it's been a great phone, and I don't plan to sell it because they lose value so fast, and I like having it as a backup. I always want to have a Google Fi backup because I'm a Google Fi user.
So
Um,
how do you think it compares to the Pixel 4 XL?
yeah, so I have the Pixel 4 right here. Um, so first, starting with the screen form factor, they actually went with a longer and slimmer display. So it's a little bit, the 3XL is a little bit wider. It's noticeably wider when you're holding it. It's not a huge difference though. PPI, the screen resolution is about the same. The quality is still fantastic. I believe they both have HDR also. That's all pretty much standard for a flagship now. Um, it's the the big thing though would be the glass back. The glass back is very, you can see it reflecting right there. It just absorbs any fingerprint pretty easily. It's not super bad, but I wipe it down with like microfiber or whatever all the time. But it's definitely more absorbent for fingerprints and whatever than the
Mm.
3XL because the 3XL had this really cool. I don't know why they just didn't use this again. It had this textured glass, and you can see it doesn't reflect because it also does not pick up on the fingerprints and whatever. It just stays, it feels like it stays much cleaner. This is the 3XL back, this textured, and then they just went the glossy to the top, which is great. I don't know why they didn't use that same type of design in the 4. Whatever, they didn't. They, I probably know why. Basically, it's they wanted to, trade swords with the iPhone design, who is also using this glassy back. And
Mm.
Samsung, it seems like there's a kind of a design trend. Oh, we're all going to use the glass back now. Let's all use the glass back.
I kind of hate how
So
like everyone follows Apple, even though they have like really bad
yeah,
trends.
I would say they all kind of like rip each other off now. It's basically the trend is like whoever has the cooler, more useful like design trend, we're going to incorporate that. But yes, so yeah, I mean the P4. The other thing though, unfortunately, the power button is like when you press it down, it's basically there's like a to actually activate it, you have to push right in the middle. It's basically it can rock back and forth, which is a terrible design. It's not like a solid like the 3XL buttons were great. They were actual like you can press it almost from any angle, and it's like solidly goes down. But this one is just not that great. It's just like the design is horrible for the power button. Um, Camera bump is also pretty fugly in my opinion. It's massive. It sticks out a lot, and it's just like I know they're all going with more cameras these days. I think it's ridiculous to what are they going to end up with like 10 cameras on the back of the phone or something? It's like brrr, they're just going to make like snake patterns.
It's
It's
overkill.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
overkill. I mean, how many cameras? Wait, hold on. I have to select camera number 7. Camera number 5 is down for maintenance right now because of the software update. It's like, geez, you don't need 7 cameras. Um, most people can barely handle one. Many people. Anyways, so the Pixel 4 XL is great. I do like the Face ID. It's super quick.
Hmm.
Um, the stereo speakers, the annoying that was another annoyance. So the 3XL, the Pixels were standard. I think the 2XL had the front-facing stereo. 3XL had front-facing stereo. 4XL, boom, 4. Let's just dump the stereo front-facing, and now we got this annoying, one speaker on the bottom which has more range, more speaker range, more fuller range, and then the top one is more tinny. I didn't like them just, dumping that. I know of course why they did it is to stretch this screen all the way to the bottom here as much as possible. So you do get more of a screen to body ratio in the front. but you lose that awesome speaker. I mean, I felt like maybe they could have put it right into the edge or something. I don't know, whatever. It would have been nice to keep that. But other than that, the software, of course, is still world class and super smooth, super quick. Um, it just works. And the other thing I will highlight for the 4XL that the 3XL didn't have, they have a dedicated chip in here that's basically uh, picking up and processing all of the verbal input, as far as I know. And I don't remember the name of the lingo of it. Basically, it's super quick. Like you basically slide it from the, anywhere, and you just say, "What's the weather tomorrow?" So it's super quick, and it just
Hmm.
instantly, let's see, weather in Taipei. Yeah, so it instantly showed up the weather in Taipei there. Yeah, it's really quick. So the assistant is super fast. All the Google's like that's one of their big things is the linguistics engine. I'm forgetting the lingo, the terms of it. It works really well. I think that was great by building in the processing for Assistant directly onto the phone rather than uploading it to the cloud, which was much slower, waiting for all the data to come back and forth. So that was the big feature. The lastly huge useful function of the 4 over the 3XL would be the dual SIM, dual standby, the DSDS functionality. I use Google Fi,
Nice.
and I also use another SIM sometimes for data. Data might be cheaper or might be traveling or whatever. Um, I can have both SIMs running, and actually I do right now. You can see that at the top. Both SIMs running, and it will basically I can toggle and choose which which SIM's data I want to use, which SMS data or phone number I want to use when I make a call. All of that's customizable and it's awesome. So like if whatever reason you want to swap between them, it's super useful. So Pixel 3 XL could not do that dual SIM, dual standby. A lot of people were disappointed. That's how it is. Get the 4 if you really want that feature. So yeah, I mean, I think it's um, unfortunately the repair after I got this back from the repair, as I did a video on that, the back is now detaching, but that was a problem with the repair. It most likely would never have done that if it was directly from the factory, and the back, of course, was not coming off before I sent it in for Google repair. But yeah, I mean that's about it. It's a great phone. That's a quick
So,
comparison of my phones.
question for you, like, would you recommend the Pixel 4 over like the other top Android phones, like the Huawei P30 or the Samsung S20 or the Xperia One? Like, what would you say?
So I haven't had any of those yet. The 8 Pro just came out. I think that would probably, from what I've read about it, and I've watched it in pretty fairly extensive amount of, YouTube videos and specs and whatever on it, that
Mhm.
probably has definitely the top specs, but I don't believe it's just a spec war anymore. Um, Speaking strictly from a camera filter perspective, right, where we filter down by ones I would not use just because of the camera. Unfortunately, the Sony's Xperia ones image processing is still not that great. Not the best compared to Pixel. Pixel still has the best camera, like image quality. If you want the best image quality, I would say I don't know the ratings on the DxO for S20 and the what was the other one you mentioned? The 8
Huawei?
Pro
Yeah.
or the P30. I've heard very good
Yeah.
things about the P30's camera, but I like pure Google. So for my particular perspective,
Mm.
I couldn't like say what I'd recommend to other people, but from my particular perspective, I like pure Android. I like a really good camera, and I want super fast and no layer on top. And the only one that and the only one basically that fits that bill is basically the Pixel 4 right now. Um, there are a lot of things though that I like about the S20, for example, like the teardrop camera, and it's got I think it's higher resolution. Um, the 8 Pro, what I really don't like about the 8 Pro, and that just came out a few days ago, why are they still using this bezel, this screen edges that just slide around the side? I don't like that. I think it just like detracts from the screen area. I'm glad
Mhm.
Pixel does not do that. It's just the typical flat flat screen with a very chauffeured edge. I don't know what the word is, chamfered or chamfered. Anyway, it's like it's better. I don't like the really, the mass curvature. But other than that, I'm sure 8 Pro is fantastic. But I'm not sure how they compare on the camera. I would be interested to see Pixel 4 versus 8 Pro. I'm guessing it still can't touch the Pixel 4 camera, but I can't speak to that because I haven't tested them side by side or anything. But
This is the
yeah,
One
that's
Plus, right? The One Plus.
I do have a OnePlus 6 somewhere,
Okay.
but that's older phone and it's like not too old to go into, but I think I'll just keep it with my pixel per other phone comparison today. But I do have a OnePlus 6 that I use for kind of a backup or a tethering option. But yeah, I think
Cool.
that's it. Let's wrap it for today. Um,
One other thing I wanted to just mention about the iPhone. I just thought
sure.
about this. The Lightning connector. I don't know why. Okay, they went with USB-C for the iPad Pro. So they switched that to iPad Pro. Why not switch the iPhone to USB-C?
That is a
I don't
huge
get it.
point right there. Why
Yeah.
would you want to be using a defunct proprietary connector in 2020 and
Yeah.
forcing people to use why?
And especially
Why?
when they switched everything else to USB-C already. Why not the iPhone? It doesn't make
That's
sense,
the
right?
point. It's like it's you know why? It's because they can. They're a huge company and they don't bend easily to consumer they've always been the company that sets the standard, but they're all not always right. They're absolutely not always right. They should be on USB-C. Most things are on USB-C. I can charge most of my headphones,
Yeah.
my Sony, all of my phones, my OnePlus 6, my Pixel 3 XL, 4, my MacBook, my Lenovo X1 Yoga, which is 3 years now, my Samsung S5e Android tablet. It's all USB-C, and USB-C is just so universal now. Power delivery is fantastic. It charges super fast, super reliably. They should definitely get onto USB-C like yesterday.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
All right. Well, let's wrap it for today. This has been episode 2. We'll wrap it up and see you next time.
All right. Cool.